Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another wonderful program, Economic Briefcase on Cabinet TV. You can watch us on Topstar. You can watch us on several satellite, dishes. You can watch us online, Facebook, YouTube. We're being watched currently in over 70 countries. Feel free to participate by calling in on the numbers that are appearing below on the screen. You can send us your text messages for those that are shy to speak on phone, on TV. If you want to, also add on to your voice and, interact with our guests and with other, listeners and viewers, you are free to call us on the numbers that are appearing on the screen. We are going to be opening up, the lines as we go on. Today, what are we discussing? Before I talk about what we're discussing, there's this gentleman who has been troubling me for the past 2 weeks. Today, I've managed to bring him into the studio. Good evening, Mr. Njapao.
Good evening, Doc, and good evening, viewers. Welcome to the program. How has been the week? The
week has been, so-so, and, it's getting warm. It's getting warm. It means that we are going to receive rains very soon.
We've had the longest winter, I think. This cold started in March.
Yeah, it started in March, and it seems Zambians are doing well. I read an article, because this is Economic Briefcase. I read an article that farmers are even dumping their fresh produce.
Very unfortunate. Even after talking about value addition on several occasions.
Where others see waste, we see opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are discussing financial literacy, and we have a guest who's a business advisor, a fellow of SCCA, SCCA, not SCC, SCCA, and a fellow of Zika. Is an accountant, chartered accountant. Before I introduce him, let me leave you a bit in suspense. Let me first tell you what is happening. Or we introduce him. What do you think?
Let's talk about the market, then we introduce him. Since he's a business analyst, I'm sure he'll be able to add one.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't leave. This is a suspense that, we are living into. We'll keep you guessing. Let's rush into the markets to see how much the dollar versus the kwacha, how much are the fuel prices, and we'll basically, digest these figures with you. Mr. Njapao, over to you.
So the market update as of today, the 11th of August, 2022. The kwacha against the four major currencies. So the kwacha was trading at, against the dollar at 16 kwacha, 9 ngwe. Trading against the pound at 19 kwacha, 69 ngwe. The euro at 16 kwacha, 66 ngwe. The rand at 99 ngwe. Selected metal prices delayed by a day on the LME. Aluminium closed off selling at $2,489.50. That's per ton. Copper closed off selling at $8,085.50. Then zinc closed off selling at $3,608.50. Nickel closed off selling at $22,490. Lead closed off selling at $2,173.50. Tin closed off selling at $24,541. Crude oil prices. WTI crude closed off selling at $93.08. Brent crude closed off selling at $98.52. That's all we had for you on the market update.
So today we've seen quite a number of changes. The last time, I depend on you to tell me remind me on the prices. Last time we were debating, it was around $7,000 per ton of copper. We have seen it go to $8,000. Yes. Now, before we digest today's topic, we are talking about economic development, the best model, but with reference to financial literacy. Financial literacy remains one of the most important aspects in any person's life. You can be a doctor, you can be an engineer, you can even be an economist, but if you're not financially literate, you cannot make financial decisions, meaning you are unable to take advantage of the information that is floating around, and also to be able to to make a profit. That's what we are taught in this capitalist world. So to discuss with us today's topic, we have a seasoned business advisor. You can never get a better accountant than today's guest, Mr. Kingford. Kalobi, it is a pleasure having you on Camnet TV.
Thank you, Doc. It's a pleasure for me to be here on business show. I think I've been following what you guys are doing. Fantastic job. I think you blend in so well, and I look forward to a good conversation.
We're very pleased that you've come to this program. You are a very busy person, and but ours is to ensure that we help other citizens that have money and don't know where to take it, how to digest financial literacy,
and those who don't have money and
how they can make it. Yes. So we saw some figures: $8,000, per ton, kwacha 16.09 kwacha per US dollar. We saw crude. What is your view about these figures?
Well, these figures are exciting, and I think they present a very good opportunity in terms of the economic outlook. You've seen the kwacha has been gaining value in the recent weeks, and probably with the news that the IMF deal is on the horizon, there's a bit of excitement and speculation on the market. The investors are throwing in a bit of money here and there, and that has raised a lot of confidence. So you see that the financial markets are also excited, and I think it's a very exciting time for Zambia that we haven't seen for quite some time, because the market sentiments are quite positive, and it brings out sentiments that the projections towards the end of the year are going to be very positive, and there are going to be a lot of players in the market, and we hope to see that the kwacha will sustain very strongly.
I get a lot of phone calls from people. What should I do with those that are keeping dollars, those that are keeping kwacha? Should I sell? Should I buy dollars? What is your advice to that person holding dollars? Should they sell?
Especially at this critical
time. At this critical time, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very interesting question, in the sense that you see investing or financial markets are quite speculative. There's no blueprint whether you should sell today or sell tomorrow. And the financial markets, they're quite unpredictable. So today we have the kwacha appreciating against the pound and the dollar, those very high-level convertible currencies. So it's quite speculative. The good question is whether to sell or to buy dollar or sell the kwacha. It all depends on the speculative aspects on the market, and also it depends also on your intention. If you have dollars, for instance, it depends. You could have dollars and you're a business person. Do you want to trade so that you want to sell the dollars so that you have the kwacha, so that you are able to deal in the kwacha equivalent? So the intentions of the transactions are very important as well. So if you have the funds that are sitting probably in a bank account and you have the dollars, I think you would probably want to speculate more and leave it there and wait and see how the market is moving. And probably my advice would be that you need to work with a consistent period, because if you predict first month, second month, about 3 months in a quarter, if the currency is stable for that period, I think it gives you room for you to plan how you're going to spend those dollars that you are holding on to. And I'm inclining myself to the dollar because it's a stronger currency, if you like. So most people that are in trade would want to keep their money either in dollar or pound rather than in the kwacha. So if you want to keep that money in your dollar account, you have to be speculative. But then if you want to trade and probably make some profit to gain more kwachas, I think you have to be consistent and wait for a consistent period. That guarantees you that your money is safe. However, you must be also take risks. You know, the financial market is about risks also. So if you find that the kwacha is gaining more strength against the dollar, you may want to offload a few. But again, you have to, like I've mentioned, it has to be very predictable. And the predictability in the financial markets, it has to be over a consistent period. A quarter is a very good estimate. 2 weeks, 1 month, is quite very subjective, and you might not make a good investment.
You know, I interact with quite a number of individuals from different backgrounds, doctors, engineers, and what I've observed is that despite the fact that some people can have PhDs in engineering, for example, some might think that probably they know how to do business. So we hear year in, year out, the central bank is very, particular about enhancing financial literacy. There's also financial literacy week. Maybe in some, for those that don't understand in your own words, basically, what is financial literacy? I mean, how should people understand it?
Well, financial literacy, Doc, thank you for that question. And I think it's going to have come at a better time than now. So in my work that I do as a financial advisor, business advisor, I think I've invested quite a lot of time into researching and also speaking about financial literacy, because I see so many errors in the financial literacy space that people make. Like you have said, people very educated, have PhDs, and also even the generally uneducated people, the marketeers, just the simple, ordinary people. So financial literacy, in a general sense, is it's a general aspect of managing or looking at financial matters and money. I've deliberately used financial matters and money because financial is not money. Yeah, so because you could have financial instruments that are you cannot translate immediately into money. So it's about awareness of the individuals. And these individuals, it cuts across whether you're educated or you're illiterate or you're not educated, it cuts across. So it's being aware about your environment, your finances, your financial matters, and the money. So probably let me rush to money because it's what will speak to people immediately. Yeah, so your self-awareness in terms of financial literacy means then that you know something about budgeting. You know about gaining money. You know about acquiring funds. Then that leads you to the aspect of spending, because once funds are acquired, the next thing is to spend. And we have heard people sentiments, or rather phrases like from rags to riches and from riches to rags. So it moves both ways. So financial literacy becomes very important because you want to be aware of how your money is moving in your bank account, how you are spending. Because believe you me, you cannot spend what you don't have. If you spend what you don't have, eventually, obviously, you find yourself in terrible problems. And to make matters worse, I think the viewers seeing us on TV, they must have observed even their neighbor, who may be a pensioner, got so much money. But now when you look at their lifestyle now, they even sold the house that they bought and the cars and every property. Maybe some banks or the Shylocks that they borrowed money after they went broke after overspending their pension. They grabbed some of the property. So this then brings up the aspect that we need to understand that finances must be managed. So budgeting comes in there. So financial literacy brings in the aspect of budgeting. Budgeting is about, it's a plan, it's a financial plan. How much have you made? How much are you going to spend? How much do you remain with? And what you remain with, how do you deal with it? I keep on saying that in terms of savings and investment, that look, you must spend after you have saved. Save first, then spend what remains. So in simple terms, what I'm trying to say is that if you have earned 100 kwacha, probably save a 60 kwacha. What the 40 kwacha that remains, that's what you start spending from. You don't spend from the whole amount that you have gained at that particular time, because what you find yourself there is that by the time you realize it, you have spent the whole 100 kwacha. So it becomes very important, whether you're a doctor, you're a professor, that you're aware about the finances. And then critically about financial literacy is about what do you spend money on, okay? So spending is not a problem. If you're spending on something that is going to bring you money again, so you're going to grow the funds, probably you're spending to invest into something. That leads me now to investing. So you're moving from your budgeting, you're investing. That equation, it means that you're aware of what is happening to the finances that you have. And that is very critical to all of us, whether you're a marketeer, whether you're a doctor, and even accountants. Today I received a call as I was driving to the office in the morning. A friend of mine is, I will not mention by name, but the conversation was just between me and him. I said, look, I'm a chartered accountant as well, but look, I have a terrible problem. I owe a lot of people, and then I'm trying now to borrow money so that I pay them off, because some of them are coming to the office. So then I was like, okay, so how do I advise this colleague of mine? And I'm driving. So I used some very simple terms, and I advised them, and okay, I was stuck in there. So it doesn't matter how educated you are, you need financial literacy. Mm-hmm. And the conversation keeps on ongoing, because you want to reach a level that you are comfortable enough, that you are able to manage your finances without being broke. Now, that aspect there of not being broke is a very key aspect of financial literacy. Because all of us, spending is so easy and exciting, because you see something, you want to put money there and everything else, without realizing where you are getting the money from. So the sources of income also become very important. Are you spending money that is borrowed? And then we bring another aspect here, which is very essential in terms of debt. I know a lot of people are scared of borrowing and say debt is bad. I keep on saying that, look, the most funds that you can easily acquire and use for investment, we're discussing financial literacy here, it's borrowed money. I'll give an example. Manchester United, they've got a huge debt. $600 million US dollars. Yes. That money, the Americans who bought, the Glazers who bought Manchester United, borrowed money to buy a club. That money is still sitting on the Manchester United balance sheet. So you can borrow money, but if you're clever enough,
and again, they have managed to push out from the club $1.5 billion.
Absolutely. So these things are not just for the Americans or the Europeans. It's this knowledge is for all of us.
I see for some of our viewers who are watching, they might be looking at it in a way where there is lower income, middle income, and maybe middle upper, and so on. And the society has, I think, two different people. There are the savers and the borrowers, or those who earn with a surplus and those who earn with a deficit, meaning that their monthly income is more than their monthly needs, and there are those whose monthly income is way more than their needs. And just breaking it down from a point where a marketeer is listening or a business owner is listening, like how can they utilize or how can they coexist in this space? Because we have the savers, of course, we're advising them to save, and we have those who have a deficit either for consumption. It can be for consumption or it can be for investing. So just starting from there, bottom up.
Yeah, absolutely. So you see, in a business community, you have lenders and borrowers. Mm-hmm. I think even the banking system, that's what it's based on. So the bank, for instance, I'll just use the small deposits that we use here. So the bank uses your money, you deposit the money in the bank uses that money and it circulates within the bank, right? So on a simple state there, also, if we talk about the marketeers, they need cash, and there's some people that have the cash that they need. So we need to bring these people together. And how we bring them together? It's through the trade. But I think what's killing this kind of relationship is the interest rates. Okay? So on the local market, without brick and mortar institutions coming in this arrangement, is the interest rates that are putting off the marketeers to borrow. Because the interest rate sometimes could be as high as 60%. Okay? And because the marketeer is so desperate, they want the money. Sometimes you find that even when they borrow that, they end up working for the lender. But there is need, for business, we need to coexist between the lender and the borrower. So there need to be a level playing ground that the interest rates are quite reasonable and fair to both parties. And the lenders...
And I've seen a bit of transition from how people like the marketeers or small shop owners, getting to save and getting to borrow at cheap rates by using such initiatives as village banks and crowd savings and so on. That's a very interesting way of I think doing things. Yeah. So speaking on how this is helping that community, that set of people. How can people utilize these? I wouldn't call them primitive, but progressive ways of saving and borrowing.
Yeah. And that's a very good, important point you've raised. So these are unstructured, if you like.
Yes.
They're unstructured systems of banking.
Yes.
Okay. And then if other people are using the unbanked, for instance. So they have come up together and they find that, look, they have a common cause, and their common cause is trade, and they want finances. And what has led to this is that most of the lending institutions, their terms are unfavorable, you see, and they feel that they are literally working for the lender of that money. So within those small groups that are unstructured, if you like, because they have no legal structures in a sense, I think those are very useful as well. The only problem I have with them is that they are based on trust. And I think we have heard instances where somebody runs away with those funds and everything else. But I think we need to encourage more of that within a community that know each other and they trust each other. And probably we could try to structure them a little bit in the sense that they can bring in a few independent people so that they protect that kind of arrangement, so that somebody doesn't run away with those funds. Because believe you me, I'll give an example. If the three of us probably, Doc, you and me, we're trading at Soweto, and we've got these stands every day, and I've seen, this is a true story, I've seen at Soweto Market somebody making about a small trader, 4 million kwacha per day. All right? So if that person makes that 4 million, so the three of us will make 12. Obviously, maybe 10 is banked. Okay? If any of us needs that money, we go and borrow from there at zero interest. The more goods that we bring in and we sell at a profit, the more money that we're going to generate. I think those are very useful aspects of access to capital.
Yeah, and very good for financial inclusion as well. Now, coming to, because of course to utilize these systems, or these unstructured systems and also structured systems, requires a little bit of knowledge on how to deal with money, or how to understand these things. A lot of people don't understand interest rates, saying, if I'm charged this much and the inflation is at this much, am I making a profit or am I making a loss? Especially for those who are in, let's say, the lending business, because of course there are those with the money within these same communities and those who are in need. And you find that some of them don't really understand the implications of borrowing, And some, well, they just are given a document without even reading through, said bring the money, and they end up failing to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens to such kind of situations? What happens in such kind of situations?
Yeah, that's a very interesting observation that you have made, and it's common. We're seeing it. People are signing because you see, when you want to borrow money, most of the time people are desperate. They want a quick fix to go and sort out. Maybe sometimes they're borrowing to go and pay another debt. I think in terms of financial literacy, it goes beyond just money. That's why in my area introduction, I mentioned that financial matters and money. It's not just money. So financial matters will include aspects of contracts, documents that you are signing. If you are not sure, sometimes you call one or two people. You know, sometimes street wisdom is smart wisdom as well. So you may not have an accountant or economist to speak to, but one or two friends may advise you that, look, this deal doesn't look straight, or the interest that you're going to pay is quite high. Why don't you reconsider to negotiate with this person in such a way that it becomes favorable to you? Yeah. So I think we need to continue on this path of financial literacy to educate people that, look, it's not that you getting money, you should look at the consequences. Are you going to repay back? And repaying back is about means. What means do you have to repay back? Because believe you me, borrowing it to pay another debt is a death trap. It's a debt trap. It traps you on and on until you find no way, and you may end up in jail. We've seen many cases of people.
It's like digging a hole, or you are in a ditch, and you're digging that ditch to fill up another another one.
Exactly. So that complicates your life there. So I think my encouragement, and as it has always been, is that you need to, you see, plans, you need to write them down. You know, financial literacy, we need to speak to people to write your financial plans on paper. So the way I'm speaking, maybe I might sound that I'm not including those that can't write, but I want to include everyone. But if first of all, I need to speak to those that can write. Like Doc mentioned, you can have people that are literate, but they don't. Financial plans are just in the head, and in the head you can always delete and forget, isn't it? But once something is written down, you know where your capital is sitting, you know how much you invested in, even the profits that they're coming in. You are able to see them, the figures, with your eyes. It becomes easy to be disciplined in terms of this is what is coming in, this is what I borrowed, and this is what I need to repay back. But if you borrow today, it's just in the pocket, you start spending, it's just in the head, it's easy to lose that money. And this is where the weakness comes in for most people, is that they really don't invest in putting it on paper to say, look, this is what it is. Just like general plans that we have, you should tell me anywhere where a plan is just in the head and it's working. Well, sometimes if you're lucky, it will work. But most plans work well if they are written down. You're able to read, follow through, and evaluate the figures. This are the way they are sitting there. I think that's very important.
I always tell my students, you know, when I'm teaching, because we teach them maybe economics, but probably they don't have the financial literacy. You know, you can teach economics to a person, but they're not financial literate. Yeah. They can't budget. You have mentioned budget. Budgeting is very important to say, okay, this is a plan, this is my income, this is my planned expenditure, and try to live by it so that, you know, people are able to use their resources efficiently. Let me bring it to the household level. You know, I've worked in many places, and you find that you work with a person, and you know, that person, you get the same salary, but they are complaining too much, yeah, or they start wondering how you are building, and they are not building, but you are on the same side. Yeah. Then you keep on asking, but what's wrong with my friend? Because we are getting the same side. Yeah. Yeah. Then they start saying, maybe you are stealing, but you are not stealing. Yeah. It's just planning. So what is the best advice to give to young couples and even old couples there? Should the husband be hiding? I hear in homes people say, I gave money to my wife for food. Should the husband get paid and keep their money to themselves, or they should have one account, joint account, and if both are working, the money flows into that account. If it's separate accounts, they have separate, but they have access. How should they plan at household level to be able to have transparency, so that maybe the people can plan together? Which one is the best model?
Doc, that's a very interesting question at the household level, and I'll use the same analogy I used in terms of writing down the plan. So the best model there I would recommend is, first of all, is to have the financial plan before you have the money. Because you see, money has got this character about it, that when you have it, it steals your reasoning.
Yes, and before I got money, I had a lot of plans.
Yeah.
Immediately it landed, all my plans. So
there's this character that we need to be aware about money, that when it hits the bank account or the pocket, it's got this power over you. So what we need now is to have a plan before the money arrives. If you have a joint account, but if you don't have a plan before the money comes, you just hit the road, say, let's go to Manla Hill. And we just be picking game stores. We need this bicycle. Our son needs this. Our daughter needs this and this. By the time you reach home, you have nothing. So I think the best model for me is, I always encourage, is that let's have a detailed plan of how much we intend to spend. So we write down, this is what we're going to spend on. Then, as the income comes, we look, the money we're expecting maybe is 10,000. And 10,000, we are saying, look, if the 10,000 comes, that's before the money comes. 10,000 comes, 2,000 is not for spending. This is for saving. It's already, it's non-negotiable. We're not going to touch that money. It's the 8,000 that we're going to spend. And we're going to calculate that 8,000, probably we need to agree to say, look, this 8,000 is what will see us the whole month. So in terms of expenditure, you're not going to spend it today just for shopping. Maybe we'll break it down. Let's break it 4,000. We'll buy groceries and other stuff. This one, we'll leave it for emergencies. It's part of the plan. Emergencies are part in the bracket of that budget. So with that plan, and you are all looking at the plan, probably it's a couple, like you have mentioned, a old couple, a young couple. And probably you can even mount it on the fridge. As you open the fridge, especially because food is normally that you cook is gotten from the fridge.
Yeah.
Each time the lady is opening the fridge, she's able to read the plan. Say, look, this is how we're going to spend this money. And from that, you can even remind each other to say, look, but you see, this thing we're about to spend on, when you look at what we have written down, it's not there. Then you become, oh, it's not there. Okay, I think we can't afford this for now. You leave it. But then in the absence of that, like you are saying, you be thinking your workmate, your colleague is stealing, but probably they have got this plan themselves. They'll tell you, let's go for this gig. They'll say, no, you know what? I've got plans at home. They just don't want to tell you that, look, I don't have money to go and spend at that gig.
Yes.
They're polite to tell you, no, we've got a prayer meeting at home. Or we've got visitors. So
you
see, my mom is home, so
I can't go out.
That's the reason that was the smart. You see, but look, but you are spending. You know, you are a socialite. You're everywhere. But then
you need to be at Chicago.
At Chicago.
No, just between you and me, since you are encouraging everyone to have a joint account. So now, what happens now? You are your friends and everyone is contributing there. You are out for a drink on a Friday. So of course when you swipe, the wife is going to see at home.
Exactly.
So how do you handle such situation?
So let me explain my own. Yes. So me, when I started working, so I said, okay, I'm working. Behind me, there's no house, there's no car, there's no nothing, and I'm married. Yeah? I can lose my job in the next 3 months. So what am I going to do? For me to find another job, it will take time to stabilize, and you never know. So for me, I started now acquiring assets that are able to work for me without even me working. For example, real estate. Tamanga real estate. So I made a plan, a 10-year plan. to say, in these 10 years, I need to have this. I used to be a very good planner. Then I have one principle. When you have an account, my salary account, my wife has to have access to it. The way when I swipe, the SMS comes, that's so has to reach. So when I'm with Bwana Noah all the time, and I have another account, and my wife also has another account. When I do some other works, the money goes into their account. My wife also works, goes into our account. You know, women, your salary is our salary. Their salary is their salary. Yeah. So what I've noticed is that if the wife is the one, because we are different people, sometimes the man can be more conservative, the woman is the big spender. But the one who spends less is going to be correcting. So that thing that you have swiped, you are with your friends. I've seen you have swiped 2,000. Hey, where have you taken that money? You don't know that you have school fees. You don't know. So that in itself is a control mechanism for spending. So you reach a point where maybe your salary, it goes into another account. You will not even touch it because you don't want your wife to be calling you. Then you have now another account where you do PJs and all those things, where your other money goes. She knows about it because women need to be told. Because once women always have an idea what the money, even if you don't tell her the salary, your spending habits, she's going to have an idea of how much you get paid. Now the problem with women is that they are not going to have the idea. If you get 5,000 kwacha, her idea will be at 10,000.
So now what happens if that other account earns more than, for example, the salary account?
You need to declare it. Because now that is no longer just a soft account. So your partner will control, even you will control. You are in shop, you are in this supermarket. I have seen, how can you buy the same budget that you have advised? Yeah. So, but with time, you know, as I'm getting old now, I'm becoming a bit rusty. So thank you very much for what you...
So the other aspect I wanted to speak to is that, look, as we speak of financial literacy, we have to see ahead of us, okay? And if anybody forgets about this conversation we're having, is that there's going to be a rainy day. You don't buy an umbrella when it's raining. I mean, you be wet, then you get an umbrella. And you'll be
even expensive.
It will be expensive, or you may not even find it. Absolutely. So it's the fact that we always have to look into the future. And in terms of savings, it's taking us to your retirement, your pension. It's going to come one day, yeah? And the life expectancy, I think the recent reports I read in Africa, I think it has increased by 10 years. So if people used to die maybe at 45 or 55 in Zambia, I think now we're going to 70. So we are likely to live longer, God willing. So the aspect is that as we do our financial planning, as we get involved in financial literacy, is that we have to be focused and look ahead. That we need to save towards our pensions. And in Africa, we are poor at saving for our pensions. If you are not in a formal employment, it's very hard to save for your pension. So we really need to strive to do that. And saving for pensions as well as medical as well, because this is very important.
Actually, that's something that us Africans don't believe in when it comes to, let's say, life insurance, life assurance. You know, they believe that maybe if you put your parents on life insurance policy, it means that it means something else. You see, you tell them, no, I need your details. I want to put you on this policy. Some will be offended. You know, African society doesn't really. Absolutely. So I've got mom on that platform.
I've not told her yet, but I know that in the event that it happened, I would not run so much, but I would have some spare money to use to cover funeral expenses and to give a decent send-off.
May Noah and Japao's parents forgive me. So Noah comes to me and says, you know, I'm looking for packages. So I said, what type of packages? I said, I'm looking for. So I want to do a funeral fund for my parents. So this is a gentleman who he has done finance, and is one of those guys who knows how to put his money. You know, he can be broke, but he's not broke. He's not. He's you know. He says. So he comes to me. Then I say, have you told your parents about that? He says, no, I haven't told them. I say, please don't try. In Europe, in Europe, parents keep money for their own funeral. They even tell you, have this amount of money, when I die, you can use that. But in Africa, it's a taboo. Or even to go, you know, children, you go and tell your father, Dad, have you left a will? You know, because that is very important.
No,
you need, yes.
Do you want me to die?
Do you want me to die? You know, I've been in such, I'm telling you, people in the family start thinking that now you are thinking of their property. It's just normal. You need to plan. Financial literacy, when you, as you are living, you know, I always, for myself, I always say, you know, I'm raising my children. For me, that's not capital. I'm able-bodied. I'll make my money myself. You know, invest for myself. I educate them. When they start working, I don't want anything from them. But what I've seen in an African setup is that you have children and they become the source of income. So how can we maybe educate the masses in terms of, have you seen, we have spent so much time on personal finances? Because that's basically where the finances lie. What advice can you give? You know,
it's actually broader, you know, personal finances, if people are doing well in the economy, meaning the economy is doing fine. So it starts from the people, and it translates into the economy.
I think we can open the lines before he can. So you're watching Economic Briefcase, Camnet TV. We're now opening our lines. You can call us on the numbers that are on the screen. You can also send us text messages on the screen, on the numbers that are appearing below the screen there. We are discussing financial literacy. If you have any problem, if you need, you know, some advice, we are not lawyers. We are not going to charge you. Just ask. We'll be able to interact with you. You know, GDP is made up of, you know, household. There's household GDP. How much you produce in a house? This one's house, that one's house. When you put together, that's GDP. GDP starts at home, and it starts with financial discipline. What things should our citizens do in terms of what habits should our citizens have to enhance financial discipline? Because financial literacy leads to financial discipline. What habits should we maybe take away? Or
exactly, that's a good question, Doc, and I'm glad that you brought it up. So I think financial discipline starts with, I'll go back to, it's about planning. Don't do what your neighbor is doing. Do what you have planned.
Yes.
Most of the times you see your neighbors bought a new car and you start thinking they've bought something that looks good, and you want also to have a similar thing. You don't know their source of income. You don't know how much sacrifices they're making. Maybe they're having 1 meal in a day to buy that car, and you want to do the same. So number one, discipline in terms of financial management is focus on your plan. Don't be influenced by your neighbor. You don't know what they're doing. Number two is the aspect of looking at how regular is your income.
We have our first caller. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello, your name and where you're calling from? I think we've lost that caller. Please call us and, you know, your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, so I was saying, so you need to also look at how regular is your income. So if your income is not monthly, for instance, you need then to plan around that. That's where financial discipline comes in. If your income is quarterly, your expenditure must be aligned to that. But we have people that where the income is quarterly.
Hello, your name and where you're calling from?
Seems to be very low.
Yes, your name and where you're calling from?
I think the line is really bad.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you, sir?
No, we are trying. Tafile Chilapawadi.
Yeah, yesterday I was very much impressed with your presentation.
Thank you very much.
But ladies and gentlemen, good evening, Mr. Kapao.
Good evening, Mr. Mwangabanda.
And good evening, our guest.
Good evening, sir, and welcome.
One set of men who have been working with a long time with India, especially sometimes I was having some problems with the late Hussein, the one who is the partner to Ishmael Kankara. The principles of India is they start teaching their children in their infancy. What has caused us not to be financial disciplined is our fathers have not been teaching us financial discipline. Let me give you Zambians. I'll give you an example of that last group, that area. That area was owned by Zambia. The whole last group and where the bank is. It was owned by the Zambia. When that man died, his children sold that property to Odis Mandanakis, the one Odis Mandanakis, if you know it. They used all.
I think we've lost that caller. That's a very nice point that you brought out then, about Indians teaching their children from a young age. And, well, I hear that financial literacy has been introduced in schools.
Yeah.
What would you say about that?
Yeah, that's a good point that you brought up. I was going to raise that. So I think the introduction of financial literacy in schools is a very, very welcome, and it's long overdue. And it could not have come at a better time than now, and the fact that we've seen people who have had money before and just going to rags. So what we're going to see, and I foresee, is that we're going to raise a generation of young people that are financial literate, responsible with their finances.
Unlike the ones that Mr. Rwanda was talking about, the
Yeah.
ones who, when they're left property and that property
Yeah.
is sold by their children instead of working on whatever
Exactly,
was left
exactly.
by their parents and
Yeah.
growing it.
Yeah. So we're going to have responsible young people that are going to be conscious and aware about finances, and that then leads to us having a citizenry that is very responsible. And like Doc said, GDP starts at a family level, individual level, and collectively. So if we build that level, I do suspect that entrepreneurship also will start at a very young age, because these young people will be able to know when to invest and how to invest. And then they'll be so conscious about the cost of money and the importance of money, and which is a very essential component of financial literacy. I would imagine that when I was growing up, I was being taught that the love of money is evil. And I went, and church obviously would tell me the love of money is evil. But probably if I was taught that, look, you gotta love money and make money, and I think I would have been a very rich man Yeah, but so we needed financial literacy to start at a young age, so that, for instance, if kids are taught to have a piggy bank where they're throwing coins, and say, look, when you're saving when you throw your coins in there. When you want to spend on something, maybe give you a leeway, you open, get a few coins. So you're conscious of, look, I saved this and I'm spending, it's your own money. So if kids are going to start at that level, I think we're headed in a good direction.
Some people believe that they're supposed to teach their kids that you're given a sum of money, you spend a percentage, you save a percentage, and you give out a percentage, just to balance up the way someone is supposed to think. So they would spend, they would save, and they would also give to charity or give to the needy.
Exactly. Absolutely, that's a good point. And in terms of financial literacy in schools, and I do hope that it will not just be theory being taught by
or in which grade does was it introduced?
I'm not sure. I've just seen the textbooks that have been introduced, but I think it's from lower primary going upwards.
You know, yesterday I was attending a conference, leadership conference at Pamozi, and Honorable Bob Schinga was there. Let me just call him Uncle Bob.
Yeah.
And he told us that, you know what, the curricula that they went through, and I think I remember we went through something similar. By grade 6, grade 7, he made a chair to take to the mother.
Wow.
You know, I remember also us being told to do funny stuff in jets, like making a one-plate stove. So we were told how to weld and how to do what. Anyway, before, let's take our second caller. Hello, good evening, and your name and where you calling from?
Yes, Doc. Havagoka, it's a pleasure actually speaking to you. This is Senior Headman Dugula from Mumbwa.
Thank you very much. You are Senior Headman?
Ndugula from Mumbwa, in Mlendema Chiefdom.
I need to come there, I need land.
That's the usual talk. Well, you come and share with us.
Financial interest.
At least we cannot be greedy.
So what
I'll be able to share with you.
What I'll do, I'll come and we will come and teach financial literacy. Then you give us land.
Yeah, nice one.
Very, very important.
Yeah.
Very, very important. Actually, this is why I've called, because the topic that you have right there, it's something that we live with. I should say it should be part of the schema that we eat in terms of how we look at our finances. I'm not that good. I've got my mistakes. And of course, it's from the inception when I started my school, how I wish they could have, schooled me how to manage my finances. So this has really eaten our build-up as a society in terms of how we look at finances. I love the way the professionals there, the way they are coming out. It's basic and you can understand what they are trying to educate us. You see, we run to buying either a limousine, a Mercedes-Benz, the latest vehicle on the market, whenever we come across, money. Either we inherit the money, or sometimes we get it through these jackpot things or bullet, whatever. But that could have really helped us to look at how best we can grow the money every time we come across, this very expensive commodity. As for me, all I was trying to say is that whenever you have got a project, you seem to run out of money, for the projects in a quicker way, and you start having issues with your wife, your children. Of course, there are other expenses that you should be able to take care of. Now, why can't we have these lending institutions to be as flexible as this Airtel money or MTN money, because we are paying MTN money and Airtel money, very expensive money. You know, you buy that money, it's very expensive when we talk about 30 days. Now, if other lending institutions can be flexible in terms of surety, I think we can be able to access that money, especially when you talk about us who are in the villages, because what they look at is documentation that we do not even think, you know, exists when they start asking you. So probably I was looking at that to say, why can't we have financial lending institution that can help us in that direction? And the other thing is, please, we need that education on budgeting. It's very, very important. And I love your program, Doc. Keep it up. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, so I think a quick reaction to Senior Chief?
Yes.
Senior Headman.
We need to go there, by the way.
Yeah, no, we need to.
It's just here, it's just in Mumbai.
Oh, no, we definitely need to go there.
On me, because there's land there.
No, we need to. No, we need to go there, Doc.
Yes.
So I think Senior Headman has raised very important points there, and it's some conversation we're having here. I think we need to be financially disciplined. If you can afford it, yes, get it. But if you can't, and I like the point he has raised, you're running a project and money runs out midway. I think it's the example that most people give. You've got this amount of millimeter and this type of water, amount of water. You've got to measure it, because if you don't measure it, you're going to find yourself that you're stuck in the middle, and this is what leads people to overborrowing, because you are ambitious enough. Now your ambition is not meeting up with your pocket. So your ambition is ahead of you. Then you get stuck, you end up going to borrow. So I think we need to manage our ambitions as well. Let's have a project. You know, a project can be big, but it must be
in stages.
In stages.
It can be broken down.
Yeah, you must segment it. You know, there's level 1, level 2, level 3, and you must calculate your income and your expenditure that you are going to incur there to say, look, at this level, I can manage to reach this level. You move from that level. By the time you know it, the whole project is done.
We have our second caller. Your name and where you calling from? By side of Chili's. The village Chilapabwadi.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, but I'm
Mkwai.
Hello?
We can hear you. Go ahead and make your contribution.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, my first is I want to seek attention to the topic. Hello?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I've been seeking for a place. But this got I want to start a calculation like that. Some like that, you know, in a grocery, there's no profit, there's no one, so don't know how you can continue.
Okay.
Yes.
So he's saying he's got a 40 pin and wants to start a grocery.
Yes.
That's what I got, yeah?
Is it a 40 pin, eh?
Yeah.
That's a huge amount of money.
That's a huge amount of money.
Yes.
But obviously, it's a huge amount of money. But grocery is got at different levels, obviously, a grocery store. But then if he, I didn't get his name. Didn't I get his name? Yeah. But if speaking to you, my brother, if you get a most reasonable shop, I think that money is sufficient enough. But my first advice to you would be you need to write down the plan for that shop. You are going to have rentals for that shop, so you must project how much you are going to spend on rentals. You are deducting from the same 40 pin. For instance, to start with, maybe the landlord will charge you for 3 months. You must be able to meet that. then you must plan how much stock you are going to buy in that shop. And then you can project a few profits that is coming. Depending on how much you make, the other 3 months can be sorted out later. But you get a very reasonable sized shop. Because the temptation you have is that the 40 pin it sounds huge. Then you get a big shop because you've read of someone with a bigger shop or similar shop. You find that you fail to manage the next rentals. Yeah.
So my advice for a person who's in Chirawombe. So Chirawombe is next to Kasumbalesa. So I think my advice is you seek a shop, maybe in Kasumbalesa, maybe in the same Chirawombe. Rentals, as you have mentioned, very, very important. So the rentals should not be very high, and the shop should not be fancy. All you need is a deep freezer. If you'll be selling cold stuff, then you need to see what others are selling. Yeah. Then
Or what others are not selling.
Yeah, see what others are selling for you to be able to see what others are not selling.
Yeah.
Then the tactic is go and see the farmers. Around Chirawombe, there are people that are doing fish farming, or they are fishermen. There are those that are growing vegetables, and so you more like buy or help them resell. Because if I can give you the shopping malls, the big ones that you see, they don't own the stock that is there. For them, they just own the building. A butchery is operated by another person who pays rent to them. So you can find up a model. We can sit, you can get our numbers after this to be able to advise you. 40,000 kwacha is even enough. In fact, for a grocery, you can even start at 20,000 kwacha.
Yeah. Correct.
So in that 40,000 kwacha, what you do, the 20,000 kwacha, put it aside.
Yeah.
Then you start with 20,000 kwacha. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I think that's the advice that I can give.
Yeah, that is sound.
And most importantly, look at the environment, look at the market, look at the foot traffic. Are you going to be able to sell enough? If not, look for a better place where there's enough traffic to sell your goods.
Yeah.
You can make your profits. Look at the environment, do your market analysis.
Yeah.
And in that shop, don't do a grocery like, Kantemba like. No, it's true there's not a lot of money, but you need to ensure that you put your shop where people that are coming from work, that's where they pass through. Then put mobile money there. Yeah, it won't be a lot of money. You can sell talk time, those things that people are looking for in the area. So by them coming to receive mobile money or do what, they'll see bread, they'll see fish. Yeah. You are selling fish, they'll see what. So make sure that you have it's all in one shop. That way, because for example, there's a shop on my way home. When my wife tells me buy eggs. When I go there, I've gone there for eggs, and and it operates for 24 hours. Yeah. When I go there, it's not only eggs that I buy. I can buy some biltong, maybe some, some drinks. I can buy what by the time I'm finishing. So you need to really think smart for that particular business. But when people tell you that there's no money in a business, don't believe it. You sit down and put on a paper a plan. Yeah. And go around and see what are the prices, where do you get the stuff from, and so then you do the math. If the money is not interesting to you, in the same grocery you can be doing other things. You can sell clothes, it can just be a fish shop, yeah. It can just be chickens, it can be, it can be anything.
Yeah, correct.
Then for senior headman Ndula, he talked about the lending rates and access to finance. My advice would be he's going to speak for there within his community. What he needs to do is it might be first himself must learn on maybe might acquire some skills on financial literacy and introduce initiatives such as village banking kind of arrangements or group savings. Okay, so this will be access to cheap capital for his people. Yeah. Okay, so these can come together or they can form groups where certain families belong.
We haven't picked any messages. So the director, let's see if we have any messages from our viewers. Hi, Dr. Wazoka. What you do advise on the popular saving but local way of saving, such as village banking and silk? So I'm told there's a difference between village banking and silk.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a student who told me this 3 weeks ago. I just can't remember the difference, but a few people can know. You can. So what do you think about village banking? Is it good? Is it?
Yeah, village banking, I think, like we had said earlier, it's a very good concept in the sense that it gives those that are subscribing to the fund access to capital at a cheaper rate, and it's more sustainable because it's being saved around people that know each other's interests, and they have common interests, and they have interests of each other, and it's easier to grow the business much quicker.
No need for collateral?
No need for collateral.
You get
exactly, and you get the support. That's very important as well, because you're not just getting the money. I think you are getting also business advisory from colleagues to say, look, this money I've gotten, I think, use it in such a way. I tried it. I used it in a good way. This is how I've made my money. I think the benefits are quite huge. The only risk is that you need to have a trusted community that you're saving with. That's very critical.
And our community is very innovative. So I've learned there's village banking, then there's silk, and then there's a chirimba.
And there's some grocery saving arrangement where people come together.
That's silk.
That's silk?
That's silk, yes. That's silk, yes. Just explain to us, what do they do?
So I think monthly they contribute, let's say, 500 each.
Yes.
Then at mid-year, they buy these things in bulk from wholesalers at a very cheap price, and they get to share these groceries amongst each other. So imagine they save from January maybe to June, okay? 500, and they go and buy these things in bulk at very cheap prices, and they share those things, and they last them almost 5 months or 6 months, same 6 months, until another cycle, I think. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, that is silk.
That is silk, yeah.
So Chirimba is where the three of us, we get paid, we give him, then again the next month we give you, the other month you give me. Not the whole salary, but just maybe 1,000.
Yeah.
So we 1,000, we give you, you get 2,000 that month. The next month another person, just like that. That is the chirimba. Then village banking, of course, we know what village banking is. You put money together, and then you can borrow at a reduced rate. Then silk is what you were explaining.
Okay. Our
silk looks
community is
sounds
very
interesting.
innovative. It's very innovative.
Yeah.
Now, with financial literacy, I think these saving schemes might even be much more developed. Maybe digitized or to increase security, as you were saying.
Absolutely.
To increase the aspect of security.
Yeah, and the other aspect I wanted to speak, I know our time is running now, in terms of financial literacy, is not losing the money that you have gained. There's an aspect of, you have worked so hard for that money, but because of the low financial literacy that you have, you lose it completely. Now, in terms the losing I'm talking about, not necessarily being careless in terms of spending. There are scams. Yeah, so with this, people will notice that you're doing well in your business. You have a shop. The shop is thriving in the community. Or it may not be a shop, but anything that you're doing is thriving. The scammers come with a lot of sweet talk, good conversation, good business plan. They'll show you a lot of pictures how much you're going to be rich in the next few months.
Some of them might even promise you.
Yes, you have double what you have in this shop in a few weeks. And we have seen people losing out to these scammers. And they will even give you something to entice you, to say this 1,000 this is just for talk time. Now imagine what you're going to have. We'll come back tomorrow, but for now, just buy talk time. That night, no one has ever given you airtime for 1,000. You are confused.
You believe in them.
You believe in them.
Wow.
Tomorrow when they come, you quickly transact. The time you know it, they are gone. You never see them again. So these scammers, they are scheming every day to steal your money that you have worked for hard. So you really need to invest in this knowledge of financial literacy that we're talking about. Don't be scammed. Be aware.
As we wind up, start with Bananoa there. Your word of advice to the citizenry.
I believe, as the saying goes, charity begins at home. Even financial literacy begins at home. Let's teach our children on financial management. Let's, not only on financial management, also on, being able to share the little that they have. Because there's a big difference between financial discipline and being greedy. You wouldn't want your kids to be greedy. So make sure you balance it up. Charity begins at home. Let's teach our children how to be financially prudent.
Look, thank you. So I think for me, my closing remarks would be financial literacy begins with you. And it's very essential that you are aware, you are conscious, be aware of the finances at every time. And don't live your neighbor's lifestyle. Live your own lifestyle. Don't live beyond your means. Live below your means. Live below what you earn. Very important. Not at the level of what you earn, because then you're going to suffocate there. Always try by all means to live slightly below your means. That way you're going to sustain yourself. And number two, don't go heavy in debt. Debt is not bad, but have a plan for debt. Very important.
You have read it for yourself, financial literacy, financial discipline. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to start a business, my advice as we conclude is that one, you need to look at the rentals. If you don't need an office, don't start it. If you can do business from home, do it. But if you get a cheaper place, you go there so that your business is formal and you feel as if you are going for work. Your rentals are going to be your fixed costs, so make sure that the business that you're going to be doing is going to be generating enough revenue for you to pay your rentals. Two, salaries, make sure that if you're not working yourself, if you have anybody who stays at your place who's not working, let them go and work there. But for when you're starting a business, you need to be involved in it 100%. Devote your time. Third advice is that there's no business that is small. Whatever money that you have, you can do business, and, just by linking, the producer to the buyer, the consumer, you can do business. You were watching Economic Briefcase on Camnet TV. Today, we were discussing financial literacy. I don't want to be, okay, I'm Tonga Lozi, so you cannot accuse me of being a tribalist, just speaking in Bemba. But we have said a lot of things, and it's very much still at sea. No. See you next week. Bye-bye. Continue watching Camnet TV, because Camnet TV is not just another channel.